Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review round 14 of the 2025 AFL Supercoach season. So another sort of average week for ourselves. Scored a 1967, which is top 25% for the round, which is par for the course. We're top 26% overall. So a slight uptick, 850 spots, but still outside the top 50k. So and the way things are going, we'll be doing well to get there, I think, by the end of the year. So we'll have a look at the team, how we went this week. So Jordan Clark with a 96 was okay. Harry Sheezer with a 115, is above average, so we'll take that. We bought in McKercher, hoping he'd be a bit of a cut price keeper option. Haven't heard how the roles sort of panned out, but 60 points suggests that maybe the last week was more of a flash in the pan. Fryer was good with a 109, and Carroll was quite good with an 82. We did expect him to go okay against West Coast, but probably wasn't quite expecting that. So might have changed our plans a little bit. With a break even of 11, he's probably reset his cash generation a bit. So might be a bit of a hold. And Clark with a 29 was a little bit down on previous weeks. Has made some money, but the break even has already gone to 15. So he might be a trade as early as next week. In the midfield, so we had Brayshaw with a 130, which was great. Bont with the VC didn't quite work out. I think he went off injured for a bit. And came back, and I'm not sure what happened there, but 66 was not ideal, particularly given some of the other scores this week. Butters with a 101, 100 is a pass. Finn Callahan returned with a 123, so a very timely return for him. Dacos we used as a loophole to get Johnson's 84. But we could have scored an extra 50 points if we left McCarthy on field. So I thought we were doing the right thing there, but who would have thought 133 on debut? And unfortunately, we had it on the bench. But Merritt, an even 100, so that's a pass. Caldwell with a 111, and Clary with just the 81. So on the bye this week, could be one to potentially flip. The Rucks, Cherry with 105 was pretty solid up against, Jackson and Darcy, so you take that. Gorn with the 126 was really good. Glad we've got him in the team. And I guess while we're talking about Rucks, Tom DeConning is our captain, a 123, which we're hoping for a little bit more upside against West Coast, but that's a solid enough score. We'll take that. As it turned out, our top score for captain was on the bench, and he's a 99k mid defender. In the forwards, Bailey Smith was quite good with a 114 in what was a big win for Geelong. Nick Martin with an 88, so it sounds like maybe the great role he had might have changed a bit. Daniel with an 80, at this stage we'll take that. Ashcroft with a 45, so if we do get the opportunity to upgrade, he might be the one. And given he's on the bye next week, there might be a little bit of Clark and Ashcroft action. Hewitt with a 76 has been looking okay. And he's probably going to be our F6 to round out our team, just given the lack of trades. Kako with 50. So, I think this is the week we jump off him. 70k across the year is not ideal, and he's played every game, I'm pretty sure. And then, we've talked about the rest. So, in terms of the matchup this week, no surprises in defeat to City Sushi, Lee's team. So, looking at his defense, he's got a Bailey Dale, a Jack Sinclair, while I've got a Fryer and probably like a Matt Roberts type pick. I'm not sure why am I missing another defender there. Has he got Nick Martin playing as a defender. No, don't know. I had McKercher as well, and someone else. I don't know. Can't work it out. Doesn't really matter. But just definitely got those upgrades in defence. Rankin with an 81 could be, an upgrade at forward compared to Ashcroft. Lockie Neal, 103 in the midfield. Max Holmes in the flex. So, he's obviously a better defender than some I've got as well. Luke Jackson, love to have him in the forward line. Adam Chera, gone on a mad run ever since I traded him out. Could have kept him over, say, a Clary. Um, but that's how it goes. But elsewhere, a couple of 2100s, a 2258. So Matt's team, so flying this year, sitting third in the league, and 2228. So he had Nazaya 119, Dawson 118. Like, so he basically hit 17 tons. Unreal. Only Rankin letting you down. That's unreal. Great work. Had McCarthy in the team. Horn Francis with a 136 on his return was pretty good. Had TDK. Captain Gorn as well, which was solid. Whitfield, Zorko went well. Yeah, Sarong with a 142. So well done, Matt. That's an outstanding team, and yeah, good stuff. Let's have a look across the league at some other big scores. So Dylan Moortop scored this week with a 162. Um, in what was a really tight game against Adelaide. So I don't know if that was from goals or if it was just, I guess he was in amongst all the action. At 429, it's very tempting to finish off my team with that sort of forward pick, but on the bye this week isn't very helpful. Max Holmes we looked at. Aaron Cadman with a 143 must have kicked a bag against Brisbane, averaging 60 for the year, so that is not an option. Whitfield, yeah, we looked at Ed Richards as being good in the midfield for the 4% that own him. Super pod there. Um, yeah, Horn Francis is back. Jarman Impey went alright, 136. Tom McCarthy, unreal, averaging 133. So 10% already got on last week. I imagine there'll be a few this week, even though he's on the buy just as a cash out option. But he'll be the number one traded in over the next few weeks, I would have thought. Just depending on when you're ready to use him. Setterfield with a 130. Bailey Williams with a 129. Only averaging 82 for the year, so I think that was an exception rather than the rule. George Hewitt's been another pretty good one at 530k, 7% owned, averaging 115 for the year. So wouldn't mind having a piece of that. Don't know no real other standouts. A couple of the mid-price options. Connor Rosie's been good as a keeper in defence now. Um, Chincotta had a big game, so 110 off the back of a 15 in the first one. So don't know if he is an option this week. I think he kicked a few goals against West Coast. They were playing him a bit more up front. Um, Sam Darcy's an interesting one, a 108. He still has a big break even, so you could wait one more week, I think. But then, mid to low 400s for, 95 average, we'll probably have a good look at that, assuming we actually have those trades left. Might be the upgrade from Ashcroft, I suppose, if the money works out. So yeah, all right. Well, break evens, I suppose we should look at. So the obvious one, Tom McCarthy, negative 93. Obviously, it won't change too much next week, but it'll be interesting to see how he goes in game two. Nick Madden's an interesting one. So a 78 to go with an 81. So a negative 89 break even. Um, do you flip a what's the guy? Everyone's got him as a ruck. I forget his name. He's in my team. That's how good I'm going. The South guy, Saints guy, you know. Oh, there he is, Harry Boyd. That's him. So you know, you if you got an extra 20k sideways, Boyd to Madden, make some cash. Potentially, some people might have the flexibility in their flex to play him in there. I really don't, so I've got to make a decision there. Zach Johnson's still got a good break even after his third game, and 84 is above his average, so you know, negative 63 break even this week. Could make another 60 odd K this week, and you know, quick 130k if you got on last week. And he then has the buy, you could use that money potentially. A couple of Hawks forwards on the bubble, Butler and Ramsden, might be worth more of a consideration next week. Um, Dewar went well with an 81, so he's still got some good money to make for those that brought him in. Um, guess the other, Harry Rouston scored 79 this week off the back of a 3. So I don't know if there's a lot of long-term interest there. Um, but the other interesting one or two, probably Archer May and Blakiston. The ruck and the forward option bottom dollar both played a game, 37 and 31 respectively. So could get another game this week and then on the bye. Um, so maybe if you need a 99k option and you already went for McCarthy, they could be an option. So in terms of my team, I might need one of those 99k options. Um, so I guess the plan this week is to somewhat finalise the team. So um, yeah, so there's a couple of different ways we can go about this. So if we just sort of update the team, I'll throw Roberts in there. So we've got the 5, and you know, we're probably going to bring Mills in this week as D6. And you know, it's definitely not the strongest defense, but you know, we might try to potentially upgrade, particularly if you know McCarthy continues with his sort of thing. You know, it might be an opportunity to flip a McKercher or something like that. The midfield, so that's pretty much our finished midfield. You know, like again, it'd be nice to upgrade these sort of 500k guys, but or 450 in the case of Clary, but we might just run out of trades. And then the forward line, we do need to at least, you know, we definitely need to get Kako off field. He's pretty average. Um, you know, Hewitt's doing a bit of a job. Like, we'd like to upgrade Ashcroft, so, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, Mills and a forward this week is the plan. Basically, I guess to get rookies off the field in terms of our finished team. We've still got a couple on the bye this week. The other thing to consider is we do have a bit on next week in terms of the bye. So defense is actually all right, and you know if Carroll became Mills, for example, wouldn't have any issues there. The midfield is a little bit lacking, particularly you know the three Essendon guys. So as I said, some people may be tempted to flip Johnson next week. And also the forward line. So Martin Smith, Ashcroft all out. So I think I was talking for that long, but headset reset. So Ashcroft probably is the one that has to go. Um, so you know there could be like a bit of one up, one down sort of action. You know, it might even be does McCarthy just feature at M8 for the rest of the year, cash out a Caldwell or a Merritt to try and make something happen in our midfields potentially. So what we're thinking at the moment is O'Driscoll, not sure if he's ever coming back. So we'll push Gross up. Actually, no, sorry, I want to go the other way. Hang on, what do I want to do here? Because I want to get Mills in defence. So do we have to... So we've got these three. So we do have to get rid of one of these defenders. So I think because he's unavailable next week, we may have to get rid of Clark. He hasn't fully peaked, but it is what it is. Go a fair way down to find Mills because he's only played 2 games. 100 and something points, I would have thought. Callum Mills, there he is. So just doing that one trade does give us 388 to spend. So probably not really enough to do much in the forward line. So we probably do have to do the third trade. So we want to get rid of Kako anyway. And so you can see we've got 600k, which is basically like a 500k and a cheapie. So I guess in terms of the frontline options, Track's on the buy this week, Rankin's on the buy this week, but you know his 3 and 5 round average is pretty poor, so I don't think we go there. Daniel we've already got. Warner off the buy again. The 3 and 5 round average isn't great. Jack McRae was the one I was targeting, um, but you know it's maybe a case of wait another week with a 124 break even. Marriage is completely gone on the buy anyway. Horn Francis is an interesting one at 490k and it still has a biggish break even, but he beat that this week. So I think Horn Francis might be the best shout. And that then gives us 120k. So in terms of the cheapies, it does rule out Butler and Ramsden. Um, so then we're probably looking at going all the way to like an Archer May. And it gives us 21k in the bank. So it does give us an extra play, or a couple of extra playing numbers for next week because O'Driscoll's probably not playing. So if we do these trades, we'll have a look at the sort of finish team and then the coming weeks. So yeah, so I guess you know midfield sorted, Mills in for Carroll, defence is sweet, Horn Francis in for May. So that's our forward line. So in terms of this week, you can see we've got full defence and we've got Carroll as backup. We've got just Oliver out. So probably what we'll do just for this week is swap in McCarthy just to get Carroll on field. Bring in Fryer. Can loop Johnson potentially. I don't know, when does he play? Plays in the first game, so get a free look at Johnson. We can obviously loop him in. We'll work that out somehow. And then Hewitt. Well, so I guess if May plays, bring him in. Does Boyd play? Probably not. So it'd be something like that. And then for next week, round 16. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 19, including McCarthy there. So we're still a bit overloaded in defence. So maybe we use Carroll for one more week and then sort of trade him. Yeah, so it might be, don't know, something there. So we have to get Fryer back. Or do we? Yeah, so it might be a case of taking the money from Roberts, McKercher, Fryer, whichever one we decide needs to go next week, and Ashcroft's money and just a one up, one down sort of deal for maybe like another mid defender. to sit on the bench. So might be a cheapie there, and then we can upgrade Ashcroft to another forward sort of keeper. So, and then that leaves us with two trades in case of emergency. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. So yeah, so I think this will be okay. So what did I, hang on, I just forgot what I said. I think it was 4, 6, 12, 18, 19. Upgrade for Ashcroft is 20. So we should have 20 play next week, which is fine. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, or we could even use a third trade to mess around with this midfield. I don't know. See how I feel. Um, cool. Oh, Prestia. I forgot about Prestia back this week. 426 midfield. We don't really have a midfield slot for him. That's the issue. You know, we've got Clary. That's just sideways at best. Yeah, so I think that's the play for this week. So just get rid of the buys. So I think Johnson's the only one eligible on our bench. Like McDonald probably won't play. Simpson's injured. Cool. So I've got 24 this week, which is nice. Captain, vice captain. So Freo, Andy Brayshaw is definitely in the VC conversation. In saying that, with the buys we can afford to look a bit later. So DeConning and Sherry play each other on Sunday nights. I don't know how that impacts their scoring. Maybe Bont redeems himself at Marvel against Richmond at $1.05. Should be able to find a bit of the pill. Something like that. Keep it simple. Maybe Bailey Smith against the Lions. Should be a good game actually, but I know some of the Lions fans haven't been too happy with their performances of late. Yeah, I guess there's no like natural look to whoever's playing West Coast this week since they're on the bye. So I think we'll go Brayshaw into Bont at the moment. And yeah, so that's the team. As I said, we're slowly getting to the final team. It's probably two trays the next week, and then we'll just ride the wave. But let's be honest, we're not expecting miracles. So we'll wrap the video up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the Supercoach content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.